Welcome to Phil and Ted's Sexy Boomer Show with your hosts, Phil Proctor and Ted Bonnet. Phil and Ted's guest, Cowabunga, Nancy Cartwright, the voice of Bart Simpson.
I am out of here, man.
Who's going to tell all.
I didn't do it. Nobody saw me do it. You can't prove anything.
And now, your Sexy Boomer hosts, Phil Proctor and Ted Bonnet.
Welcome to Phil and Ted's Sexy Boomer Show. I'm Ted Bonnet.
And I'm Phil Proctor.
Hi, Phil.
And we're really happy to have an amazing guest today who is really a Renaissance woman, Nancy Cartwright, probably better known to you guys as Bart Simpson.
Hi, guys.
And not only that, Nancy, but you and I worked together in a manner of speaking.
That's right.
On Rugrats for many years.
Yep.
Where you played Chucky Finster.
I still do, and sadly, you don't. I don't believe, and that sucks. That sucks. Rotten lemons.
Howard, for some reason, was overlooked. One of my fans sent me a picture of Howard, my cartoon character, and I'm carrying a plaque that says Howard's life matters. But unfortunately, the grassroots movement to get me back on the show did not bear fruit, to make a metaphor.
It's just not fair.
The answer that I got from the powers that be is that basically they wanted to take the asset and recast it with younger people so that they could go for another 14 years.
Okay, that's called ageism.
You see?
That's not right.
Yeah, you think?
That's not right. And I'm on the radio saying this. I don't like that at all.
Well, neither do I. But you know, I'm 81 years old now. I've had a really, really fun career, and I don't mind the fact that the other folks are going to carry it on. And of course, you lucky girls playing all the little babies' voices, and it's eternal. For you guys, you can...
Listen, I'm old enough to be my own character's great-grandmother. I'm just saying. Seriously, in real life. So...
Well, I'm glad for you.
Well, thank you, honey. I just don't want this to be too awkward.
Yeah, right.
I love you, and I listen to your voice. And, you know, June Foray was 2 months shy of her 100th birthday and could still do Witch Hazel, could still do Granny Smurf.
That's right.
George O'Hanlon was in his 90s when he was still doing George Jetson.
Wow.
Mel Blanc was in his 80s and he was still doing Bugs Bunny and Tweety Bird and, you know, all his Warner Brother characters. Dawes Butler was in his 70s.
Yep.
And it's like voices are kind of amazing. You can actually turn it on. I can still do the sound of Bart Simpson that I did very early on the Tracy Ullman show. Today he sounds like this. Back then he was kind of like that. But he's kind of like, I settled into this sort of a sound. It's kind of natural from my own voice, but back then when I was putting him on, he was a little bit lower in range. And if I want to make him really, really young and make him like he's 2 years old, all I do is just tighten it up. We have this, we're called actors. We can do it. We can keep that. And as long as some kind of like smoking whatever, you know, doesn't affect the pipes, the machinery, and whatever you do that's changing your body, if you keep yourself healthy and you can still make that sound, I don't see anything at all wrong with keeping the cast the way that it was.
Yeah. And
you'll change, and a character is a character, whether it's modern times or not. You're an actor. You do what's written in front of you and add even more to it. So, poo-poo.
Smoker's cough actually works for Marge Simpson's sister, right?
Yeah.
Now, what we're referring to is a wonderful audiobook that Nancy has re-released in an expanded version, I'm assuming?
Yeah, and then actually it's about 70 to 75% new. I've got the bones, the structure of the original one where I go into, you know, my personal life, but this one is more so. But more than that, it's like I've got these clips from Dan and Julie and Yardley and others like J.K. Simmons, Elizabeth Taylor, Mickey Rooney, and I talk about working with 50 Cent and working with Anne Hathaway and these clips, and Dawes Butler, for crying out loud.
Yes.
I can't believe... Something inside of me just said, don't throw it away. Don't throw it away. Way back in 1977,
Good.
77, 78, when I was taking scripts that Dawes Butler would mail to me in Dayton, Ohio, with him out in L.A.
Wow.
He would mail these scripts to me that he wrote, and he would say, and he would give me a lesson on a cassette. I used little clips, and you hear Dawes Butler talking to like 18, 19-year-old Nancy Cartwright responding. And
maybe we should talk a little bit about Dawes. What was he most famous for?
Yeah, how did you get to connect with him like that?
At the time, I was working at a radio station in Dayton, Ohio called WING, Winging It in Dayton, home of the Wright brothers. The president and general manager of the station, Jim Bennett, we spoke before he hired me. I was working at an ice cream store because I love ice cream. Working at a friendly ice cream store, and he came in and he knew me and knew my family because of our church. So he said, what are your plans? And I said, well, I got a scholarship to go to Ohio University, and I'm going to major in interpersonal communications. And he's like, well, why don't you come work for me? We need a little gal to come fill in when people go on vacation. So that next summer, I was hired, and I filled in and learned virtually every department of the radio station. And eventually, I started doing a little bit in the afternoon. It was a promotional gimmick for the station.
Yeah.
Working with a guy named Bob Beck, who did the weather and traffic during prime time. And so I did 10 minutes maybe on the air, but I was lily pad. And he would pop in these cassettes of somebody diving into a swimming pool, and I was the imaginary lifeguard of the swimming pool for the poolside show with Ken Warren. And it was a whole imagination kind of a thing. And I created this character, and she was sort of a precursor to Bart Simpson because her voice was,
ooh, oh, look, would anybody like a martini? I'll give you a martini. Hey, you're in the deep end. Sorry, you just ate. You need to get out of the pool right now. Rest period.
It's just stupid, silly things like that. And eventually, a woman from Warner Brothers Music came in, and she was doing her job of promoting music to the program manager. And so Jim Bennett ends up introducing me to this woman. And I knew she was from Warner Brothers, and Warner Brothers to me meant Mel Blanc. Maybe she knows Mel Blanc. So we spoke about this, and she said, look, I'm not in that area at all of Warner Brothers, but
Right.
do you have like a little demonstration of like voices that you do? And I said, no, but well, maybe you could put something together, put a sample of things that you do together and send it to me. Here's my card. So she gave me her business card, and cutting to the chase, I couldn't believe it, but like this really catapulted everything for me.
Wow.
Because I would go to the station at night on my own time, and I just took little sound clippings of character pieces that I did from James Thurber's Many Moons, and another one called 13 Clocks, and a Ray Bradbury cutting of The Veldt, and just did these little pieces and cut them, but it was 14 minutes long, for crying out loud. Oh, yeah. And I sent it, and next thing you know, she wrote me back a letter, and in the letter, she told me she'd sent it out, and these are the places that she sent it to. And it was Buena Vista. It was Walt Disney Pictures. It was Wally Burr Studios. It was Screen Gems. Yeah. And this guy, Dawes Butler, he's the voice of Roadrunner and Wile E. Coyote. And I'm like, well, Roadrunner doesn't have a voice. It's like, blah, blah, blah. I didn't understand that, but there was a phone number. And I thought, well, I'll just give him a call. It was an outgoing message from a, this is Percival Pickles, Mr. Butler's butler. He's not here right now. Leave your name and message at the beep, beep. And I'm kind of taken aback because this is Kettering, Ohio, just south of Dayton. This is 1977, I think, and we did not have answering machines back then.
Yeah.
And I'm listening to this, and hardly without missing a beat, I'm like,
hello, Mr. Butler. This is Nancy Cartwright. I'm from Dayton, Ohio.
And I don't know. I found out he was from Toledo, Ohio, mentioned WING, and next thing you know, he called me back, and we started this long-distance student-mentor relationship, and
wow,
it's just such a Cinderella story. I was in and going, you know?
As you say in your book, you've always had a Cinderella career. You walk in and you get the job.
Yeah.
There's a segment in the book of something you found when you were 19 years old, this little girl talking to Dawes It's such a sweet tape. Must have been good for him when you see that something like that happens.
Oh my gosh. I transferred to UCLA, by the way, and they didn't have the same major, but I got into theater, and that opened up a whole nother avenue for me that just,
Right.
I ended up getting an agent and doing on camera, like Cheers, Empty Nest, Mr. Belvedere, Marion Rose White, where I was the titular character in that, and working with Valerie Perrine and Catherine Ross, and not knowing what I was doing in front of the camera. I wasn't interested really in doing on-camera stuff. I had a consideration that this is another one of those things, kind of like, kind of naive. I thought my looks might have something to do with it. And I didn't have a lot of self-confidence in the way that I looked. And I never really had a boyfriend. I was very focused on my career. Very much so. All the dances were turnabout dances. I always asked a guy, and they always went with me because I paid for everything. What a deal.
The main thing was you never said no. You said yes.
Right? It's like that experience that opens up
Yep.
everything that I do. I'm telling you, if I get invited to speak at like a Rotary Club or a Boys and Girls Club or something, I'll say yes. And then the day will come and I'll see my day and I'm going, oh my gosh, I don't have time to do this. And I will show up and I'll do it. But guys, every single time the door opens and I meet somebody that shares something with me about them and something that we both benefit from. It's really kind of kismet or karma or whatever you want to call it. It's kind of magical.
Serendipity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think everyone in high school should take public speak. It should be required.
I agree.
Because it's like you learn about, tell them what you're going to tell them what you told them. You do a beginning, middle, and an end. You complete what it is that you have a goal of what you're going to be communicating about. So anybody, whether you end up being in whatever job or career you decide to choose, you have to know these skills, and this was something that you get confidence in.
Also, another fast track to low-paying radio jobs is doing morning announcements in high school. That's what I did.
You know what? When I go back to that, I have to laugh now. I just recently, last fall, went back to my 45th class reunion. Oh my gosh. And I used to do the morning announcements, and I did them on Mondays was my day. So over the weekend, I'd gone off on a speech tournament. And man, I was hauling in the hardware, humble brag. Oh my gosh, bringing first place humorous interpretation and bringing home a trophy the size of like, a small child. And it's like, wow. And I was announcing who ended up winning this. And it was first place in humorous interpretation, Nancy Cartwright. I started making enemies very early in my career.
Do you find it easier to do it through the mask of a character as opposed to being yourself?
That's so funny. Yes, I do. What about you? Do you find that?
I did an improv show in New York for 10 years as a character.
Oh, yeah.
And when I had a character on, I was fearless, unaccountable. So it's easier.
Yeah.
Do you take more creative leaps when you're doing Bart, say, than you would if you were yourself in a situation? Maybe not at this point, but early on?
I think I'm so far removed because of my age and my gender that relating to a 10-year-old boy throwing cherry bombs, whatever, down toilets and stuff wasn't really.
Yeah.
I have done my share of pranks. I got even suspended for doing something pretty nasty once. I'm not completely innocent. And I'm speaking for every person on the planet right now, by the way. I think all of us have a little bit of Bart Simpson, and maybe it's enviable that I get to play this kid that people sort of secretly wish that they could be Bart Simpson, because he tends to be able to do these things that we all want to do, and a lot of us don't do it. But Bart will do it anyway, and a lot of times he'll feel the repercussions of his actions,
Mm-hmm.
Is it safe to assume that Bart is the most direct alter ego of the creator of the series, Matt Groening?
Yeah, it's totally fair. And in fact, his dad is Homer. His mom was Margaret, not Marge, but close enough, Marge. Sister Lisa. Matt is, because it's a soft sound, Matt. But Bart is like Bart. Bart, Bart, it's barking at you almost. So there's that slightly antagonistic sound even to how you say his name.
I've been a fan from literally the beginning. I was working on an NPR show in New York in 1990. It was Heat with John Hockenberry. It was a thematic culture news show. 1 hour was on family dynamics. Coincidentally, we got a VHS mailed to us, and it was the pilot for The Simpsons.
No.
Wow.
The Christmas.
Yes, Matt Groening, Life in Hell. I called Fox, and he was the nicest person. And I said, we're doing this show on family dynamics, and we'd love to talk about your new series. And he said, I'd love to do it, but I have to go home to Portland this weekend. They're naming some hospital wing after me. But
No way. Oh, my God.
he said, I'd love to do the show, but I'm going to be staying with my parents. We can do it from my family room. And I said, absolutely. He said, well, would you do me a favor? Would you please call my parents and ask permission? Make sure it's okay. And he gave me the phone number, and he said, my dad's name is Homer. Do you have a sister named Lisa? And he says, I do. And I said, well, who's Bart? And he said, well, that's an acronym for brat. That's pretty much me.
Yeah.
So I called his father, and Homer answered the phone. Hello? Is this Homer? Yes. And I said, I just watched the pilot. It was just so wonderful. And he goes, I'm not like that.
Wow.
And he just turned out to be lovely and charming, as was Matt.
He's a pretty humble guy, and he likes to give people a leg up. He really does. And of course, none of us had an inkling that 34 years later, we're still doing it.
Amazing.
It's astounding.
That's ridiculous.
Who would have known at that time that this would be the longest running television series in history?
Yeah.
And it's animated.
Well, that's why I think, besides the writing, obviously it's the writing, but that it's animated. And again, what we were talking in the early part of this interview was just, your voice. All of our voices have shifted as we've settled. It's kind of like a house. I've been in this house since 1996, and it's settled a bit, over the years. And I think a voice print, it can settle into a certain sound. And as we age, it very gradiently, and you don't notice it because you're living with it all the time and the people around you don't notice it. But definitely going back to the earlies, you can hear even Yardley, Lisa Simpson is pretty much Yardley's voice, except she turns it on just a little bit. She makes her 8. She makes her, and it's genius, and the writers over the years have made her even more responsible, more civically oriented and invested, and comes out, and she's vegan and she's a Buddhist. She's the daughter that every parent wants their kid to be like. She's kind of incredible. And then she's got her brother Bart.
Al, quit it. Al, quit it.
You also do Maggie, don't you?
Yeah, I said one thing, one word. Everything else is
There you go.
That's just a temporary sound. They have a sound that they use, that they punch in, and that's the sound you actually hear, but I do the temporary sound for that. But on the movie, I think it was
sequel,
which we have yet to do, as you know.
The actors have been with it for all that time. Have the writers been with it, or have you gone through a lot of changes of writers?
I think Al Jean, as our showrunner, he's been there since the very, very beginning. Dave Merkin, I still see Dave's face, but some other guys pop in and out, but there's been a steady consistency. Some guys have gone, and they're not with us anymore, definitely. Conan O'Brien was with us.
Oh, right.
Yeah, he was with us for like 3 years, 3 seasons, I believe. And some other guys have gone off. Greg Daniels was with us he went off and did King of the Hill, and then The Office and Parks and Rec, and started doing like some live action stuff. And even animators like Brad Bird worked with us, and he went off and ended up doing The Iron Giant and then The Incredibles, and then worked with Tom Cruise on Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol. All these guys, so talented, and I think...
Wonderful.
You know what? And it's rare. You guys understand this. It's like there are artists, and then there are visionaries.
Correct.
And I think these guys are visionaries, and they had their own path. They had the privilege of being on The Simpsons when they were on The Simpsons, but their life path was taking them in a different direction. So they used that opportunity to get that experience behind them, and then they took off. And it's a gamble. I'm sure it was a little bit scary, and yet their persistency and their own certainty of doing, nope, this is me. I've got to do this. I want to do my own thing.
The output is incredible. Are you still doing 22 episodes a season?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Woo, that's amazing.
We're into the last year of I don't know, was picked up for, we used to do 4-year contracts, 2 years, and then 2 years of an option, and then they'd pick them all up one at a time so they don't have to go through the negotiation again. But we're in the last year of this go round, and we'll see, hey, we're all alive, we're all kicking, and is there any real reason why we shouldn't keep going? I mean, I can still burp and fart like Bart Simpson. Let's keep going.
Harry Shearer is a good friend. It has been for many, many years. And I remember when you guys negotiated your contract with Fox because you were so outrageously successful. And as artists, you were not necessarily getting a piece of the pie that you deserved. And I remember celebrating with Harry when they came up with the first deal that really recognized your genius, everybody's input into the thing. So I imagine you never dreamed that you would get the economic windfall that you got from doing this show.
Oh, heavens, no. No, but the other thing was, I venture to say, 97.5% of actors, that they're not doing it for the money. They're doing it because it's their passion.
That's right.
Or it's to kiss, it's to kiss somebody.
Yeah.
Because mostly it's to kiss the girl, I think. Like in acting classes, guys, they try out acting because they want to make out.
Sure.
And hey, the girl's doing it too, man, because she's the one that's doing she's the other half.
The other half, right.
There's that aspect of it too. But artists are artists. And in 2000, when I went out with the other book, just somebody had asked me, what's it like making as much money? And I was kind of like, what a strange question. Mm-hmm. And inside I'm thinking this, but I said to her, I do it because I love it.
Right.
And that's what I say to anybody. In my book, I talk about the 6 salient steps for successful survival. The first one, do what you love. Just do what you love.
The remarkable thing about The Simpsons being on for over 30 years now, right?
Yeah, we're in 34 now.
Oh, my goodness.
Bart would be like 44 years old if...
With the world changing as rapidly as it is, you have to also change with the times. And it's a remarkable how little controversy you've had. Apu with the Quickie Mart. Culturally, that wasn't accepted anymore. Phil and I were asking each other the other day, can The Simpsons still be played in Florida at this point? Thanks to Bart's sister. How did that play with you and the team in terms of doing The Simpsons?
I just feel like, here's the deal on that. We're actors. I understand what the situation is culturally. I kind of feel like you should hire... It has to do with the sound and the creation of a character. It's a voice. They're animating, whether the character is African American or Indian or Asian. They're creating these characters. I sort of feel like if we were all had numbers, and like they don't know our names, that everybody submits an audition tape, and it doesn't matter what race you are, what religion, what sex you are. None of that should enter into it. It should be may the best performer win, and it's done mostly by jury anyway. So you'll get somebody's viewpoint of what sounds like a 10-year-old boy, what sounds like an 85-year-old woman, you know what I mean? Or an Asian or an African or African American or whatever. But I just feel like we're all of us are artists trying to make a go of this. I feel like it's you guys, we are going through major growing changes right now.
Yes, we are.
It's like we are stretching out, and it's almost as if you feel like if you breathe wrong, you're going to get arrested. people are walking around in fear.
Yes.
Because you turn on the news and it's like, and this is a part of it. I'm sorry to say, but it is a part of it. People are afraid to just be themselves, and the media has damaged the culture. Mm-hmm. And people sadly have gone into agreement. And the only thing that we have in common is we've all got our luggage. We've all got baggage that we've brought from us from birth on, and even probably before then. And it's like, you got to recognize that the human part of this thing is that we're all just trying to survive, guys.
Political correctness and humor don't go hand in hand. When you started the show, we were closer to the cable television universe. There was more of a collective.
True.
And as time has gone on, there's been more division in terms of literally in media channels and fragmentation.
Fragmentation. That's right.
And tribalism that came with it.
I don't disagree with you, man. And you even look at ageism.
Yeah.
Well, we touched on that. We touched on ageism. And women, look at women. How many women? Hardly any women writers and animators and creators. And it's not just in animation, it's across the board. Yes, it's a little bit better. But wow, 26% compared to like what it used to be, 4%, 26%, and their income. You can look at the world. There's problems everywhere. You can find a problem in any situation. I'm not trying to minimize it. There's a reality to this. Innately, I think people really do want to help. And if we can help our fellow man or fellow woman have an opportunity, I think that should be focused on more than pointing out all the bad things. Let's have some solutions instead of like just pointing out problems.
Now, I know you're not in the writer's room typically, but do you think any of this mentality has encroached upon the creative process?
Oh, I can't throw them under the bus, man. This is like, these guys, they touch on things. Hey, look, when Bart said, damn it, I didn't want to say that. I didn't want a 10-year-old boy saying, God damn it. Mm-hmm. I mean, that bothered me. That bothered me as a mother and as a grandmother. That bothered me. But you know what? Mm-hmm. This is 2022. Hello.
Yeah.
I still don't want a 10-year-old boy saying it. But I'm paid to do a job, and I gave them that reading, and then I did it without it.
That's right.
Because I've got my own integrity. I will express my viewpoint that I don't think this is right. And they'll say, okay, all right, Nancy. Mm-hmm. So I said, I'm going to do it. I already gave you that one. You got that one. I'll give you one more your way. And then I've got a couple other ideas. And as artists, it does take a certain amount of courage to stand up for what you feel is right. That's a bottom line, really.
But the creative atmosphere has a lot to do with that. When I did an All in the Family many years ago, one of the things that I admired most about that show was that the writers would come in for a run-through, and then there'd be a discussion with all of the actors as to what, we might want to change. And the writers were open to that, so that the actors were able to make an input into the final shape of the show.
Wow.
And that to me was so wonderful. It was a community event.
Oh my gosh, Phil, you had that opportunity. You got to do that.
Yeah.
You got to do that in your life as an artist.
Yeah.
And be a part of that family, to contribute to that and witness it.
That's right.
And even participate in it. Wow.
I think much of the problem is politics these days. I think that's where a lot of the fear comes from. Because the politicians who primarily want to get elected are getting elected by scapegoating people and by creating an atmosphere of fear.
Yeah.
And one of the things that The Simpsons does is that it alleviates some of the danger of that fear by this odd combination of small-town reality and outrageously abstract surrealism. And it blends them in such a way that we can safely laugh at things that might otherwise be, seem dangerous.
You're making social commentary. You are obviously relevant. You're reflecting the times to get the laughs.
Absolutely.
Maybe from the position that you have now of such great success as an organization, you don't have to curry to the winds of change every day.
Yes.
I would imagine all of that is sort of said and done, and you're just going to go through your lines and bring life and character to it.
Early on, very early on, there was one script that was about Nazi Germany. It was in black and white. I think Sam wrote it, and I called him and I said, I can't do this. It doesn't seem like it's the tone of the show. And obviously I wasn't the only one that said something about it, because we didn't do it. That was hard to do. That was a hard phone call to make, but it just didn't seem like it fit.
Good.
And so there you go. And they do touch on, but they gently touch on things. It's not hardcore. It's not biting. It's not...
No, it's not biting satire. It's very subtle.
No, and... any actor that gets put, my heart goes out to Hank, and that I think it was the first time that it ever really happened. My heart went out to him.
Are you referring to the Apu chapter?
Yeah. And it's just that it's a matter of, you got to do what you got to do, and you got to respect somebody's viewpoint. We all have viewpoints, and it's a matter of doing it.
Yes.
What a tough position to be in.
Yes.
He expressed himself, and all of us that are put in that position. And I just think we're going through whatever we're going through, and COVID certainly didn't help. And you touched on it, politics, the media. It's like, okay, how can we get above this? How can we do it? Well, how about more different content? How about something more uplifting? How about including and making it more inclusive? That's what we need. It's content. And this production company that I have called Create For You, that's what we do. We have intellectual properties from Mexico, from Spain, from South America, from Puerto Rico, from all these Latinx countries, and we import intellectual properties of successful television films and even novels that have been done, and keep true to that culture. We're Americanizing them by bringing them and producing them in Hollywood, but we're keeping true to the culture to give others an opportunity to be able to bring other content to the public.
It's ironic that you, being the voice of Bart, want to stress goodness and a moral compass through all of that.
Oh.
It's just interesting that you're playing the 10-year-old delinquent.
Well, thanks, Ted. And I will have to say, it takes a bit of a village to raise a Nancy Cartwright, because I wasn't always this way. It's an evolution of an idea, of an opinion, of a purpose, really. And I've surrounded myself with an amazing team of people that kind of push me in the right direction, and I trust them, and including you guys too, by the way, and the podcast that you have here, that you've allowed this platform, presented it to me and given me the opportunity to be here with you. And I'm a fan. I am such a fan of the shows that you do.
Oh, thank you.
I like the guys that you've had on and the women that you've had on. It's enlightening.
Good.
Thank you very much.
I'll continue to listen.
Yeah, a lot of it is about self-realization.
I love it.
It really is. What about your relationship with the other actors over all these years, many of whom are friends of mine? I did a play that Dan Castellaneta wrote called For Piano and Harpo about Oscar Levant. Brilliant. It was absolutely brilliant and wonderful.
I love it. When the other performers, when they performed, I've never seen... Oh, I did. I actually saw him. I was going to say I didn't see anything that Hank did, but I did. I saw him when he did, whatchamacallit, on Broadway, the musical, Monty Python.
Spamalot?
Spamalot. Supporting the other actors, I am all for it.
Yes.
I love doing that and finding out. It's a little bit of a different game than like being on a regular on-camera show.
Yeah.
Because we go and... Prior to now, we would all be together in the room like old radio, and that worked out fantastic. But we don't have time to chit-chat. It's done on a soundstage. We all have our stations. You can sit or you can stand. I prefer to stand. I think I breathe a little bit better when I'm standing, but standing for 4 hours, it's like, wow, okay. Sit every now and then, but we used to take breaks for lunch, but haven't done that for decades. You run out if you're not in the scene, but Dan and I are Dan more than anyone is in almost every scene. Maybe me second because of the characters that I do, and Hank too. But Hank and Harry don't come anymore because they don't live in L.A.
Oh.
And so for the last couple decades, it's been just Julie and myself and Yardley, and there's Pamela Hayden, and she's not there so much anymore. And Tress McNeil, who's lovely, she's there. She's to my left.
Oh, I love Tress.
She fills in, and another guy, Chris Edgerly, who's fantastic and does...
Oh, Chris is great.
Oh, man, the guy is... imitates, and he will do temporary tracks for Hank and Harry when they're not there. And it's very helpful to us when it sounds like, and that voice will be replaced by the originals.
Right.
It's a little different, and I think the show has just kind of gone with the flow. And we can not be together. They can record us separately, and that's the beauty. And I think animation really survived quite well. And in fact, an affluence of animation occurred because I can be at home in my own studio.
Yep, it's very liberating. It really has been.
Your unique situation of celebrity status and anonymity of being a voiceover artist. The minute you walk out that door, no one knows you. In your book, you talk about the disappointment of not being a readily recognized celebrity. But on the other hand, I personally think that you're in the catbird seat. You have the best of both worlds because some celebrities, they're kind of tortured by being bothered all the time. You can have all this wonderful celebrity and notoriety and appreciation, and yet you still have your personal life intact.
Ted, you said it all. Dude, it's like...
It's the perfect combination.
You totally nailed it, man. It's like, I do touch on it, and at one point, that was a long, long time ago, but no, the evolution of this thing is I still can go anywhere. Nobody knows who I am. It's like, unless I decide to reveal, myself. And even then, sometimes, boom, it's over their head. How ridiculous do I feel then? I tend to just keep it quiet and just go about my life.
Yeah.
You have charitable organizations that you've created.
It's a bit of a rough topic. It's about prescription opioids and prescription psychotropic drugs.
Right.
There's a lot of confusion, and you can go to the internet and then you can find out some stuff that is like it just confuses you. You don't know who's telling the truth. My website and the nonprofit is called Know More About Drugs, and it really puts some truth there. And it's the whole idea behind it is that a parent can go, or a caregiver can go, and if their doctor is prescribing a certain kind of a medication because the kid is eliciting, erratic behavior, they're uncontrollable, they can't sit still, or whatever the problem is, go to that website, Know More About Drugs, and put in the name of that medication and find out the facts from the Food and Drug Administration's medication guides. All it gives is the egregious side effects. So you're going to find out that it can cause suicidal ideation. It's highly addictive. So many parents don't know about these medication guides. So it's a destination for parents and caretakers to go to just find out some more. They can go to kmad.org. It's a bit of a heavy subject, but people need help, and it's to give you some answers if there's some confusion there.
Yeah.
But thanks for that. Listen, this has been like such a treat being with you guys. I have thoroughly enjoyed my time with you, and thanks for allowing me and asking me like the perfect questions. So I feel very selfish, actually. I do.
Oh, no.
You've helped me so much.
We were frankly very inspired by your spoken audiobook. I know you, and we've worked together, but when you talk so personally about your life and how you got to where you got and where you are, I mean, it's a very, very touching and fun audiobook. I recommend it. Would you tell them the name of it again?
Sure. It's called I'm Still a 10-Year-Old Boy, and you can get it on Audible.
And thank you for spending this time with us.
And we wish you another 30 years of Simpsons. As long as there's television, The Simpsons will be on, I think.
Wow.
Yeah.
They'll synthesize your voice, and you'll live far beyond your mortal years.
No. I'm still going to be doing it when I'm 100. Nobody's quite reached 100 yet. I'll still be doing it when I'm 100.
God bless you. Thank you so much.
Love you guys.
Phil, the Firesign Theater and The Simpsons have contributed so much to the American lexicon.
Yeah, true.
Dope.
More sugar.
Yeah, essentially it's spoken word. Incredible animation, and it's a TV show, but really it's voice art.
Yeah, Firesign Theater did animation in your head primarily, but we were as surrealistic as cartoons could be in the creation of our body of work. And both the Firesign and The Simpsons really had an enormous cultural effect on the society.
Think of the audience. Think of the reach globally.
Of course, Fireside Theater has quite a reach, too. I just sent a postcard off to somebody in Casablanca.
Really?
Who was a Rugrats fan.
Was his name Rick?
No. Muad.
Muad. Oh, yeah.
Muad Sharbat.
Oh, a local.
Yeah.
This was a lot of fun.
Sure was.
We'll have to come up with another one now.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
Well, we'll reach out and touch someone.
Okay.
Woo-hoo.
This is Ted.
And this is Phil. Thanks for listening.
So long.
You've been listening to Phil and Ted's Sexy Boomer Show, featuring Phil Proctor and Ted Bonnet and their special guest, Nancy Cartwright. Music by Eddie Betos and the Nervous Brothers. I'm A. Ernest Guy. To hear all the Sexy Boomer shows, visit our website, sexyboomershow.com. Be sure to subscribe to this podcast for free by clicking the subscribe button in your app or webpage and never miss an episode. Please tell your friends about Phil and Ted's Sexy Boomer Show, produced by RadioPictures.com, the makers of fine podcasts for seasoned hipsters, man.